Good morning again. Hey, I just wanted to offer some advice about this is advice that I've read about it, I practice it, I put it into practice after practicing it, if you want to say that. Um, I only have a minor in psychology from college, okay? But what I have that I'm sharing with you guys is thousands of hours of experience of dealing with somebody like this, experimenting in my own little environment. I don't know, just a lot of different things. There was some question about who am I and what do I do. I don't have a book. I'm not here to promote anything. I'm just here to help you heal the way people helped me heal back when I went through my depression and discard a little over almost 3 years ago now. So I'm much better now, and I just want to spread the word out because people need to know about these people. People that are victims need to know about these people and how they work and how they operate so that they can get away from them first and recognize healthy behavior and just better their lives. So with that out of the way, I just wanted to share something that was kind of a hard concept for me to understand. I just didn't think there were people out there that like to argue. I always thought everybody was like me and that they wanted to, collaborate. If you interact with somebody, you're there to build, you're there to grow, you're there to support. I thought everybody was like that. I mean, I knew there were people that obviously were not like that, but I thought I could spot those people and that I'd be able to spot those people, and that people in my life, well, they're not like that. The people that I let in my life are the ones that support me and love me and all that good stuff. Well, there's imitators. Yeah, there's people that pretend to be the supportive, loving people, and they do this on purpose. They learn from an early age that to get what they want, they have to. Hey, good morning. They have to manipulate. They have to change things around them. They have to create tension. Like there's people that like to create tension so that they can come out on top, so that they can be the ones that that provide the solution. I remember seeing years ago there was I don't know if it was true, but I remember seeing a TV show. It seems like it was true, like a true story, where there was a fireman who was like an arson expert or something, and he would drive up and down California doing like talks and everything. I mean, he was that well known where people would invite him in and have him speak. And I remember watching the show, and it turns out the guy would show up at a fire, and he was an arson investigator, and he'd be able to say, okay, yeah, that was set there was gasoline here, and I mean he could, and people were just like, wow, this guy's a guru, he really knows his stuff. And he did, because it turns out he was the one actually setting the fires. Like he would, so I mean, he had it all mapped out where if he was at this area and if he got a gas receipt here, he could show that he was not in the same area when the fire happened, and he was doing his conference over in this area. I mean, he just had it all worked out, but he was the one that was setting the fires. And I want to tell you that your narcs are setting fires. They're setting fires so that they can put them out. Like this guy. But this guy was well known, well respected, well liked. And so I want you to see that concept. Like, the guy was a phony. I mean, of course he could figure out why the fire was set or how the fire was started, because he was starting the fire. So that's a really important concept. I mean, here's something that I want to share with you guys that used to happen to me all the time, and see if you can relate to this. So you have a really, and this happened through 20 years of marriage, okay? This was a pattern. So I was married for 20 years. So you have a very intimate, nice night with your significant other, and it's just like, wow, you're just, you can't believe that you've got this great person with you, and they're supportive, and everything's tender and loving, and you have an incredible night, right? You're like, and you wake up and you feel so close to that person, and then it seems like out of nowhere, an argument starts. Oh, you had why'd you leave the cap off the toothpaste? Or, where's my clothes? I can't believe you can't, you put, oh no, they're over there or whatever. Well, you're always doing this. Blah, blah, blah. Huh? What? No, I put them over there, and yesterday, I don't know, the kids must have moved or something. I'm kind of summarizing up, but I noticed a pattern with this, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't really see that there was anything wrong with who I was with. And of course, I was made to feel like it was all my fault. Everything that happened in our relationship, I was responsible for. They don't take responsibility. So I noticed this pattern over 20 years or so. And when I finally found the words in one of the books or something, there was called a fear of intimacy. Now, normal people have a fear of intimacy, I'm convinced. But the narcissists, they can't let that real self, that true self, open up at all, because if it does, then their whole world falls apart. So my feeling, and I don't have it 100%, but my feeling was that the partner in my life was very, she had to put on that false front all the time, and then when she was intimate, of course, that's when you're intimate with somebody, you're touching physical areas that aren't normally touched, and so it's going back to childhood things and all this. I was convinced. I mean, later I figured out that it's just fear of intimacy. They can't let that true self up, and so they always have to argue, and they have to shield that. They have to defend that. They stuff it down. They deny it. Denial. Narcissists are kings and queens of denial. That's what their fallback is. That's what they've learned. They've learned to suppress that. That true self that they really are. And if you think you're going to change them, if you think you're going to help them get out of that, I'll be so tender and loving that they'll come out of that, that they'll change. You're wasting your time. It's not worth it. They're not going to change. That's who they are. They're set. Their brain is already like road mapped out like that. You can't go in and change it. There's probably less than a 1% chance that they ever could change, but they have to have something significantly bad happen in their lives. They have to, something devastating, something terrible where they would, and you leaving is not going to be something terrible, okay? Oh, if I leave him, then he'll want to change now. So that's a whole another video, right, about getting people to change. So there are people out there that want to start arguments. Now, why do they start arguments? Well, from what the best I could figure out is that they need to stay on top of you. They need to stay in power and in control. And if you're in control of the situation, if you're in control, I say you as the person, like person A or person B. If person A is the one that starts an argument and they ask the questions and they throw out the barbs, then person B is off balance. Person B, that'd be us, is constantly questioning ourselves, and it's also part of that sweet mean cycle. You can look that up. Push pull, whatever you want to call it. There's different labels for it. Sweet mean, push pull, where a narcissist, in order to control, to manipulate you, and we talked about this a few days ago, they got to keep you spinning. They got to keep you on highs and lows. Because they are on highs and lows. They don't do normal, okay? They don't do normal. They have to constantly be either love bombing you or way down here or something. And if they act normal around you, that means they're probably out getting their supply from somebody else. So they're getting that highs and lows with somebody else. And so when they're around you, they're normal and all of that. Yeah, well, that's just who they are. They always have to have something going on. So if you're their main source of supply, and you guys can look that up, or fuel, however you want to call it, supply, fuel, we're giving them that supply and fuel from being in their lives, because narcissists need people in their lives to be able to get that from. The worst punishment for a narcissist is not to tell them how awful they are or anything. The worst punishment for them is to banish them to a desert island where there's nobody else around. They would wither up and die. I mean, they need other people to have power over, to get a one-up on, to they need that reaction. They need that sour face of yours. They need that confusion. They need you crying. They need that, so that they are the ones that look like they don't need that they don't cry, that they I'm just going into different words here, but they need it so that you look like the crazy one. And they do that too. They do that thing where they prod you, they poke at you, they do little digs, little garbs. Now that's more the coverts. There's overts where they just say what they feel, and actually overts are easier to deal with because you know what you're dealing with. But the coverts, they'll poke you and prod you until you react, and then when you react, that's when they freeze that, if you will, in a picture. They take a picture of that, and when you go like, okay, stop, you've been doing this to me all day, then you look like the crazy one. Then they get to go, well, I don't know why you're overreacting to this. I mean, I was just saying, and from the last 5 minutes, but no, it was actually 2 days of poking and prodding. They need to have an argument with you. I don't know how many of you need to hear that over and over again. I know I did. And you need to think that it doesn't. Don't go in the belief that, oh, it doesn't apply to me. They do it to everybody. Well, maybe mine's not a narc. Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, if you're not sure if you're in a relationship with somebody who's problematic, somebody who doesn't treat you with respect, doesn't treat you with care, doesn't think of you first, is more of a taker than a giver. What if there's no label on it? What if you just looked at the relationship as a whole? What if you told your sister or somebody close to you about what's going on in your relationship? Are they going to say, wow, that sounds crazy, you better get out? See, a lot of us don't do that. We convince ourselves, we tell ourselves so many lies, and we do because the narcissist gives us just enough sweet so that we think that that sweet will come back and the mean will just go away, right? So, lots of comments here. So, hi Claire. Namali. Hey, Namali is a moderator, and we had a voice call the other day, and I call her my Spice Girl. She sounds just like the Spice Girls to me, just to me. Maybe you guys know the Spice Girls more intimately over there. So Amber says, that's when you become a threat. That's when I become a threat, when my end stopped getting a reaction from me. Yeah, see, if you're their main source of supply, which a lot of you are, you start changing they move the goalposts all the time. You guys know that, right? They don't play by the same rules. They keep changing their rules. Okay, you got that. So, but what they do though is they need you to act in a certain way. They need to get that fuel. So if you, like you said, like you just said earlier, if you cut off their supply, usually the narcs that have been around a while know to do this. They go to they have supplies on reserve. They don't necessarily have a primary supply. They have one supply that they go to, and that's probably you. But what they have is they have a lot of secondary supplies. People they don't spend as much time with, people they don't interact with as much, people that they haven't conditioned enough to take abuse and to be able to give them that supply. So, but they always have them on the back burner. I say always, unless you catch one where they totally catch them off guard. So they develop the supplies, and they're hoping that maybe their secondaries will replace the primary if the primary goes away. But a lot of them don't count on it. A lot of them are lazy. They rely on the primary supply, which is probably you, for their supply needs, for their be able to spew their negative hate, be able to make you feel silly, make you feel not make you feel silly, make you feel like this big, so that they can feel this big. I always my mom always said, well, if somebody has to cut other people down to make themselves feel big, that's probably not a person you want to be around. Somebody who has to cut people down to make themselves look bigger. And that's what they do. I mean, in a nutshell. Curious, is this learned from experience, reading, therapy? Where have you got all your info? Have you learned all this? It's amazing to me you seem so confident in these videos. Like you know your shit. And these people would never pull one over on you. That's funny. I laugh because it just happened. It just happened recently. So, okay. So that's a good question because, like, who am I? Okay. So, I'm a very like introspective guy. Okay, I've just learned this from years of therapy. Not years of therapy. Yeah, years of therapy spread over the course of my life. I've done a lot of different things that involved trusting people, like business deals, like big business deals, and I basically got screwed, I guess, if you want to say that. And I just like I had a business partner 15 years ago, no, 17 years ago that I trusted implicitly. I mean, our kids played together. We wrapped up our business. We had an office, and we had lots of stuff like inventory together. And I showed him my trade secret because I kind of invented a process to make money. And I don't go into what it is, but because that doesn't work anymore anyway. So, but at the time it worked really well, and so I shared it with him. And basically, after about a year and a half, I got the worst treatment. I mean, I was an experiment for this guy all the time. I mean, I just trusted, and people would say to me, "You trust too much. You trust too much." And so, at that point, my significant other at the time, my wife, we were like a team. I mean, and what was funny is she was the one that spotted the bad behavior in my business partner first. She's like, he's doing this and he's doing that, and you don't see this and you don't see that because you trust people too much. And so it was interesting that happened. And that's kind of what set me off into this lifelong thing of learning. So I'd read about problematic people. I'd learned a little bit about narcissism then, but then it kind of, as things got better and improved, I kind of forgot about him. And my attorney was like, no contact. What's no contact? And so he had me do this. And we both, me and my wife did it. We didn't contact them ever again. And because it would have showed, in the lawsuit, it would have showed a weakness. Because we had a lawsuit, and then any type of contact, like, I want to reach out to you. I want to let you know that I'm not this terrible person, that I really think we can work this out on our own. No, my attorney was like, you can't do that. You got to treat them like they're dirt, or whatever. So that was my first thing. So I guess you could say after that point, it kind of blossomed. And what I do for a living too, though, I do Facebook stuff for businesses, which I'm not promoting here or anything like that. That's what I do. So I'm on Facebook a lot. Okay, so I understand kind of how the algorithms work. I teach people how to do Facebook Lives. So that's kind of where I'm able to kind of walk and talk, where I can say something and it's the information that's been stored down here, all the experience, all the heartache that I went through, I just kind of let it pour out. And I've run other admin groups. I've started groups. I've run other narcissist support groups. And so that's kind of where my experience is. If my advice or my information helps you, then by all means run with it. I don't want to be the person that says do this or do that because I don't know your situation. But what I found that was helpful for me is when people shared what they did. See, a lot of us are empathetic, and we want to find that one person. We want to find people that are really out as good-hearted and as kind as we are. And then what we do is we find that person and we latch onto them, like because our boundaries have been broken a little bit. So if you hear me and you see me and you think, wow, this guy's got really good information, I'm just going to listen to all his stuff and that's it. And no, don't do that. you still have to put your filters on. I'm not perfect. My information is going to be flawed. What I do now sometimes, I mean, I did something like 2 weeks ago, and I regret it now because I realized that I did some things that were I didn't keep my boundaries in check, and so, but I learned from that, and that's the thing I learn from my mistakes because I write it down, I journal, I video log, and I just have this curiosity. I've had this natural curiosity about human behavior since I was a kid. And I'll share more later. But there's things that happened to me when I was a kid where I was more the observe, don't absorb. But I didn't have any boundaries. So I do want to talk about one thing later, and that's, I want to do a video on divorce and how this all fits into it, because there's some things that you can do with divorce, especially if people have kids. I went through that, and there's some things that I can share with you that if you're going through a divorce or you're in the middle of it, that would be something that I think you'd want to know more about. I don't have time today, but I do want to share that with you. Yeah, and the thing is, like I tell people, what was freely given to me, all the information, all the resources, all the tools, I'm freely giving back. That's part of my recovery. That's part of what keeps me on track. What keeps me, like, making sure that I'm fresh, that I don't fall back into the same traps. I don't know if that makes sense, but I get it. I get where so many of you have come from. And see, we've got a really unique group, because you got 30,000 empaths that come together. For the most part, everybody in here is going through the same thing. With groups, there's members from other countries that slip in that don't even speak the same language. It's like, why are you here? But for the most part, there's 30,000 people that are all have the same mindset, But our boundaries, I would tell you that our boundaries are broken. That we let people in. We let people in that shouldn't be in our lives. Okay, and that's what's helped a lot, is knowing our people pickers are broken. We pick people that talk a good talk, but we don't. But for some reason we disconnect, because from kids we disconnect. We're told that we need to treat people with respect and blah blah blah. Give them a chance. Always give them a second chance. Give them the benefit of the doubt. And so when people talk a good game, and narcs are really good at it, we let them in, and they shouldn't be in there. They should earn your trust. People need to earn our trust. And if they're saying the right things, but their actions aren't matching, what I found is that I need to be able to listen to that still small voice within that goes, just remember my face, tightening in the solar plexus. Something's off. What? And not go, oh, well, but he did say he would meet me, blah, blah, blah. Or he did say he would promise this, blah, blah, blah. No, you need to listen to that. That awareness is key, and that's probably the biggest thing I do now, is that I'm still, and I listen to that. All that time you have alone now that you don't have the narc, you get that time, you get that precious alone time to reflect and read books. Read books is so key. But read books, and there's a reading list in the group here that you can check out. One of the mods made a great reading list of all the appropriate books that are going to be the most helpful. So if you can read, you can change those neural pathways, to where your people picker is maybe better now. When you have that cognitive dissonance, okay, that's another term. When you have that thing where you're confused, and we made a video about that yesterday. When you're confused and you don't feel right, when you have that, you need to know what that is. It's called a trigger, but you need to be able to spot why you're doing that. What is it that's causing that trigger? And it can take months and years to figure out one trigger. Now I don't say years, but I'm just saying that it's just not instant. Like it takes time and being and just knowledge. It takes just like a lot of knowledge. And I will say this, and this is kind of a dynamic thing. It's like a group dynamic where when I look back on how I was able to come out of this successfully and back away during the divorce from my ex, is that you almost need to have a counterbalance to that narc. In other words, I don't say you need to have it. I'm just going to say that I looked for this, and this is what helped me recover faster than if I wouldn't have had a counterbalance. And what I mean by this is kind of an advanced topic, but what I mean by this is that I found a person who had healthy boundaries. He's not perfect, but he was a lot healthier. He's a counselor friend of mine, and he had the same type of personality as my narc did, in that he was abrupt. He's a northeasterner. So he's from he's from out east. Okay, so and I'm in Dallas, and everybody around here is not as quick and on their feet, and so he's always got the zingers, right? Well, I needed somebody strong in my life at the time. I mean, he came along and it helped, where I would like get these text messages from her, and I'm like, how do I respond to this? I mean, I got to tell her this, and he's like, F her, okay, tell her this, and he would just he would help me write a text that pointed out the bad behavior, and I would throw it right back on the narc, and then the narc wouldn't text me for a few days, and I would be like, wow, that really worked. He says, dude, she's beat the crap out of you, dude, and you just need to tell her to F off. He said, well, don't tell her, but in your head you need to do that. So I had somebody just telling me, like, at a raw level, like a counterbalance, like, because she had such a strong personality, because she was such a part in my life, because she had kind of worked, I was married to her, that I had to have somebody almost as a strong personality over here who was really supportive. And that's not something you have to have, but I'm just saying, for me, it helped. It helped having somebody, like if you have a brother or a sister, maybe don't talk to them that much, because they're kind of like an asshole or something. They're just all about themselves. It's almost like if you have another person, like if you know a person like that who has a strong personality, they almost love, and they're highly competitive. They love to hear about what you're doing over here with the narc. They will almost compete with the narc and telling you, like, oh, don't do this, he's probably doing this, and that's what happened with me. I don't know if it's helpful or not. I don't know if you find that, but some of you may be wondering, if you've got somebody really supportive in your life, but they have a strong personality and they're really against the narc, like, find the people around you that have lives like you like, that are pretty solid, but they can't stand the narc, and they would love to bury the narc. They would love to, figuratively, they would love to compete, help you just see the narc just like get put in situations where the narc looks like a fool, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, they occupy your brain 24/7. Oh, yeah. What do you do when they occupy your brain 24/7? Yeah, so I get that, because it's, well, you use that time to read books. You use that time to, because when you go in depression, look, guys, I went on depression meds. They helped. That's going to be your own thing. Like, I can't give you a magic bullet. Everyone, we want a magic bullet. I wish I could wave a wand right now, right through here, or press a button. And if you're watching this, you would be like, all of a sudden you wouldn't have to think about the narc at all. Watching videos like this helps, because stories about how other people got through it, there's tons of them on YouTube. That helps, because what you want is somebody that can relate to your thing. Like right now when you're watching this, you're probably not thinking about the narc, or you are, but it's not the same. It's not totally dominating you. If it's something about the narc, like, oh my God, I want to know more, then that means you're in that knowledge thing where you want, like, so you can look at that stuff, and then when I'm telling you things, you're imagining in your brain, like, okay, if I do that, yeah, if I put a question mark at the text, then that'll make him do that or whatever. So that's, I can't get, I have to think about that, because there's a lot of things that I did. I didn't quit thinking about her for a long time. In fact, every morning I'd wake up and think about her for like pretty much a year. But what happened was the emotions that I had tied to thinking about her. Again, I still woke up every morning, first thing, wake my eyes up. I think about her. But hear me out on this, because this is kind of important, because this is how things kind of work in our brains, at least in my brain. And other people have told me the same thing. The emotions associated with her when I woke up, towards the end, before the thing went away, the emotions at first were, oh my God, I can't, the depression and just all the stuff, just all the abuse is just like right there, like it just, I mean, even made me stressed out, okay? You got a lot of how you can relate to that. But over the course of a year, I went from there until like right before I just kind of poof, it went away on its own. I went to tying less emotions to it, where when I wake up, I literally like, oh, there's that picture again. There you are again. And then just roll my eyes. Like, oh God, really? Again? And then it went away shortly thereafter. So you may still have those pictures, the memories in there, but if you can associate different things in there, if you can learn how to figure out how to change your emotions, how you respond to that. There's a good book by Pete Walker called Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. Pete Walker, Petewalker. He has a website. I'm in no way affiliated with him. I'm sharing this with you because I didn't read the whole book, but I went through a lot of his concepts, and it's good stuff. That would be a way that you can kind of affect the emotions that make you think about the person all the time. So there's all kinds of things that you can do. And we can talk about that one time. We can do a live stream here and have more interaction with that. Yeah, we search for knowledge to understand every day. People say stay positive, and that, yeah, they don't understand, you can't talk to people around you about this, unfortunately. Unless you got somebody that hates the narc as much as you do, like has emotions attached to the narc, like not hatred, but just competition, and I don't think you can really talk to people about it. You can talk to people here, but I mean in real life, like you'll wear people out. They think that you're obsessed with them, and you are, because you've got the sweet mean cycle. You've got an obsession that's been developed, almost programmed into you by the narc. The narcs want you to be obsessed with them, and they want you to communicate that obsession with them. That's how they get their supply. So what you're doing is you're breaking a pattern. So you got to replace that time, those thoughts with new thoughts, new associations. And there's mind techniques that you can do too. I've tried some different mind techniques, that some of them work too, but I don't have time for that today. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope my information was helpful. Please don't take it as counseling or any substitution for anything like that. It's my little disclaimer. I'm just a guy who just spent a lot of time researching this, and I'm finally able to get the information out to you in a concise way, because it's all in here. It's what I do is on the fly. It's spontaneous. It's all from knowledge. I don't have notes in front of me. It's part of me now. So part of me though is helping people recover. That's how I recover. All right. Well, I love you guys. Have a good one.